Today, we will be working on the final section of our informational text. Take a look at our teaching points. I can create a glossary or sources section in my informational writing piece. We know, according to our checklist, that we need to make deliberate word choices to teach my readers. I may have done this by using and repeating words about my topic. These are specifically words that will show up in your glossary. When we teach somebody new words or we want them to remember something that is really important, we need to repeat it and make those deliberate or purposeful word choices. So let's look at how some students did this in their writing piece. If we look at this student, this is Chapter 2, Immigration. Let's read through and we're going to look for the bold words that need to go in the glossary. What is an immigrant? An immigrant is a person who comes from another country to live a better life. Immigrants that are in third class in steerage have a rough journey, and they are the only ones processed through Ellis Island. The first and second class have nicer areas on the boat and are checked on the ride over. That is just some of the stuff about immigration. What do you do when you emigrate? Okay, so we came across two words. So when we're creating our glossary, the first thing we need to do is read through and make sure that we have the words in bold on this chapter. Do you see any other words here that could be in bold and added to our glossary? So we have at least three words. I would agree we should have immigrant, Ellis Island, and emigrate. So then we're going to shrink this down, go back to our glossary. We already have immigrant. We have emigrated, so that's similar to emigrate. But we would need to add to our glossary Ellis Island, and then we would need to look up a definition. Let's take a look at the Chapter 4. Keep in mind that we already have immigrant, emigrated, and Ellis Island in our glossary. Look for other words that would need to be defined. Chapter 4, Push and Pull Factors on Irish Immigrants. The Irish Potato Famine. Did you know about the Irish Potato Famine? Well, I can tell you. The Irish Potato Famine had lots of Irish lose food of their diet that they had between 1846 and 1850 from a disease called blight and the potato famine. About 1.5 million people died. This was a horrible time for the Irish people, but one day they found hope, and with little money they traveled to America. So looking at this, we know for sure that this writer wanted us to define the word famine. They put it in a text box, but we will also put it in our glossary. Do you see any other words that might be important to define? So once we find the words, we need to go to the back of the book, into our glossary, and add it in. So famine is one word, and blight could be another. Once we have these words, you have a couple choices on where and how you can look them up. Let's say, for example, we were looking up the word famine. The first place I would go is right to our social studies textbook. So here are the E's and the F's. When I look in the F's, we have FAC, FE. So famine is not in here. Other words might be. For example, emigrated. EMP. Yeah, right here we have emigrating, leaving one's own country to settle in another. So I'm going to go to my glossary section and copy down, leaving one's own country to settle in another. This is your starting point to define your words. You can put it in your own words, but remember, you shouldn't just be coming up with these off the top of your head. It needs to be grounded in some kind of dictionary or solid information. If it's not in the back of the social studies textbook, certainly look in one of the class dictionaries. If it's not there, another place you can go is on your Chromebook. Go to dictionary.com, and then you type in the word. So here I've typed in famine, and down below it gives me a couple definitions. Which of these would fit the definition of famine in my book? Number 1, extreme and general scarcity of food as in a country or in a large geographical area. Number 2, any extreme or general scarcity. Or number 3, extreme hunger and starvation. Number 1 is the correct answer because when we're talking about the potato famine, there is a scarcity or shortage of food in a whole country or large area. The second thing we need to look at is how to add our sources into the back of our book. We know that off our checklist, it states, I got my information from talking to people, reading books, and from my own knowledge and observations. Take a look at the sources page I already started in the back of my book. You will have one as well by just writing sources, and we're looking for the title of what you're doing and the author. For a web page, you're going to put down the web page as the author and the title of the web page. So on these, I'm missing some things. I have the name of the blend space here, but I need to give a title. I need to give the actual web address. Same here. I have the title for Wisconsin Our State, Our Story textbook. I need to give the author. And here I include True Book Ellis Island. I need to have the author. So help me find the information that I need. The first one comes from a blend space. So I've opened this up and it says that this is the tour of Ellis Island. So on my sources, I would write tour of Ellis Island. Then when I quote a web page, we don't need you to write down all of this information, this entire thing, but we do need through the .com portion. So you will write down teacher.scholastic.com. So for this, you will have the title and the web page. If we look at this from the history of tenements, here's your web address, www.history.com. So you need the first portion, and the title of it is simply tenements. So you'll write that down. So keep in mind for every single source that you use, you need to have the title. That will be for a book or a web page. And then you need to have either the author or the web address. The minimum number of sources really many of us used, I noticed, was at least 5. So we're going to say we want about 5 sources. Turn and talk to your partner. What are the important things we need to keep in mind about doing our sources page? So writers, today you can create a glossary and a sources section in your informational writer piece. Remember what needs to all go into that, where you find the definitions of your words, and make it a great day.